Well, hello, friends. I'd like to invite you to a course we have at Astrology University called Zodiacal Polarities and the Mythic Imagination with the amazing Saffron Rossi. And Saffron is here with me today to tell you a little bit about the course. So, first, thanks for joining me today, Saffron.
Thanks so much, Tony. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Beautiful. So, can you tell folks a little bit about what you have planned for this course?
Yeah, I thought to maybe just start by saying, I've spent about 30 years now studying myths and legends and fairy tales. And from the Jungian and archetypal psychological perspectives, these stories are windows into the soul. We can think of them as the stories of the soul. And my approach to astrology has been really strongly shaped by that understanding coming from those traditions. And so, by looking through this mythic lens into the symbolism of astrology and what it can illuminate in terms of our inner world, our character, even our complexes, it can be incredibly insightful. The idea of this course was in a way I wanted to bring in three different streams of ideas. The first is looking at myth from an astrological perspective. Why is myth not only important and interesting, but as I've already touched on, so effective, really, as a way of thinking about life. But I also wanted to look at the myths of the zodiac, because the zodiac signs are really the qualitative dimensions by which we experience the archetypal principles of the planets. And the zodiac signs can often get a bit flattened, like we end up sort of talking about them as types or kinds of people, as opposed to recognizing that the zodiac signs are really entire mythic worlds, mythic landscapes, amazing stories that help us understand why our Mars or our moon hungers for what it hungers for. It's the mythic dimension of the signs that really shine a light on that. And then the third piece has to do with the whole notion of polarities and the idea that, yes, we have 12 zodiac signs, but they are in relationships with one another by polarity. And we can identify that simply by the opposition aspect. And that notion of polarity is really important psychologically. And both C.G. Jung and James Hillman, so the father of Jungian psychology and the father of archetypal psychology, both had a lot of really interesting ideas about the problem of opposites, which is a kind of fundamental human problem. Meaning, as people, we tend to get kind of one-sided, meaning we end up kind of relating to areas of our life or approaching issues and projects and relationships in one way. And if part of what we understand to be the task of human development as individuation, which means having a more whole and sort of broad relationship to different dimensions of our being, then being able to move with more consciousness toward the other side of any kind of situation would be part of that process. And that's what I think the zodiac polarities help us imagine into. So that's the third sort of piece. So the course is all about myth, but trying to relate to the mythic dimension of the zodiac signs in order to think more broadly, more fully, more, maybe we could even say ecologically, around the zodiac polarities and how that lives in our own nature. So I hope that people will come to the course and be able to deepen their thinking in any and all of these ways.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Saffron. So the course, just some logistics, folks. If you're interested in attending, the course is presented in a 4-week format, although you can work at your own pace through the course. The main teaching material has been pre-recorded, so you could jump in anytime. You could get started today. But once a year, we do live Q&A sessions with Saffron, so you can join Saffron for some live Q&A sessions to get your questions answered in real time. You can find out on the course description page when those dates are. If you're tuning in after those have been recorded, you can listen to those recordings. But if you're waiting for the next round of Q&As to start up and you still want to kind of jump into the course, we have a live discussion area where you can ask your questions in real time, and instructors and teaching assistants go in there and we'll answer your questions. So you can get your questions answered right as you're moving through the material, which is so helpful. So even if you're tuning in outside of those live Q&A sessions, know that you can still get some direct feedback and interaction with us. So, well, thank you so much for preparing this material for folks, Saffron. I know from students who've gone through the course before that they absolutely love it and it deepens their experience. And this is a course that's great if you're just learning astrology, but it's kind of a course that you can get so much out of, even if you feel like you have a really good understanding of the archetypes. You know, story like that, like you teach, is kind of the gift that keeps on giving, and you can just continue to look at things from multiple vantage points and learn something new each time. Well, thanks for joining me today, Saffron, and we hope to see some of you inside the course portal.
Thanks so much, and I hope to see you there.